In this segment, we're going to interview George King of Thumbs Up for Mother Universe. Stories from the life of Lonnie Holley. But first, let's take a look at the trailer.
A lot of people say, what is that mess? Why you make a mess out of everything? I don't really be making a mess. I be taking the mess that is and trying to reveal this is the mess that humans have made.
Lonnie Holley can take the castaway pieces of culture and find beauty in those pieces, but find also a way to bring them together to create great art.
The harvest is plentiful, but the harvesters are few.
It was a lady fortune teller. She said, one day you're gonna be all over the TV. My name is Lonnie Bradley Holley, and I'm an African-American artist. You're gonna be all over the world.
Montreal, thank you all so much.
People gonna know about you.
It was 27 of us born out of my mother's womb. I was taken away from my mother at the age of 1.5 by this woman.
And she sold me for a pint of whiskey.
I grew up as Tunky McElroy. I didn't grow up as Lonnie Holley. Who am I? Who am I?
Mount Megawar, if you don't do, you're gonna have to deal with what comes. You had a line of untrained young people that didn't know how to pick cotton that got a whooping every day, and I was in that line. I wasn't the only person that was being tormented. I believe 5 people was beat to death right in front of me. My art were the sponge for a lot of that. I didn't want to keep this inside of me. I really didn't. After going through so much in Birmingham, I realized if I don't get out of here, I'm going to die. I'm going to die.
Combustion to matter. Combustion to matter. Combustion to matter. Combustion to matter.
Thanks. Thumbs up for Mother Universe, ladies and gentlemen. Thumbs up for Mother Universe.
Okay, I'm going to pass it over to Paul. Paul's going to interview George King about the film.
Thumbs up for Mother Universe. It's like, what a great title. Who can't love that? So, George, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you fell in love with this project and were willing to hang in there for 22 years making it? I'm sure this wasn't your objective to spend that much time. And on the other hand, what a beautiful film you've made.
Well, thank you. That's always good to hear. So this all began in the 1990s. I was curious about this new bunch of artists that burst onto the scene down here and to some extent nationally. And they were in stark contrast to who was bursting onto the scene in New York, which was, if you remember, that bunch of rich kids that would drive around in Bentleys and do these kind of self-referential paintings that, you had to sort of know them to really get all the details. And yet here down in the South, I was seeing this work by totally untutored Black farmers, a variety of different tradesmen, but none of them were trained as artists, that's for sure. And they were producing this remarkable, passionate, content-driven work, which I found really exciting. And so I was interested in this phenomenon, how does this fit into the art world, or does it? Or is it giving these guys in New York an electric shock? And so I interviewed a bunch of people for this, curators, artists, sort of folks in the knowledge, background research, but we were shooting at the same time. And, we'd heard about this guy, Lonnie Holley, who lived over in Birmingham, Alabama, self-taught African-American artist. And he was known to a lot of artists over here in Atlanta who would, go over to visit, and because he's a very generous man, interesting guy. But I'd never met him, so I decided one day, let's do it. And I called up this friend of mine, black woman who's a shooter, and said, how about joining me for an expedition over to Birmingham? And so we were originally going to go for a couple of days, and I called Lonnie up, but never actually spoke to him. I talked to this young girl, and this young girl I explained, I'd like to come over and visit, and would bring a camera perhaps, and she said, just a minute, and I could hear these little footsteps, and there'd be a sort of footsteps coming back, and she said, he says, okay. And I thought, oh, great. Well, I'm going to call you back and tell you when I'm coming so we can all make this all mesh beautifully. They never answered that phone again. I mean, so in the end, I said to my friend, let's just go. What the hell? How difficult can it be to find a 2-acre art environment next to the Birmingham airport? Piece of cake. So off we go. And the answer to that question is extremely difficult, it proved, because we drove round and round the Birmingham airport. But we were in black neighborhoods. And so, they see a white guy coming who wants to know where so-and-so is. And, the tradition is you just sort of, oh, never heard of him, sir. Thank you so much for coming into our humble community. Anyway, we couldn't get any information. So we were turning around to drive away, and I thought, let's try that number one last time. And the little girl answered the phone, and we got the directions, and we drove over there and spent a remarkable afternoon with Lonnie Holley, who made art for us, gave us things, and he just devoted the entire afternoon.
Wow.
So after that, I decided, the hell with this other footage. This guy is the film, and the rest of this stuff. So I've never looked at it since, actually. I guess I should do that someday.
And from what I've seen of the film and what I've heard of it, I perceive your film as really a spiritual film. I mean, here's somebody who came from the ground up and just got it. He's such a natural and such a natural teacher. I mean, we could all learn from Lonnie Holley's story about our story and how to live a better life, and how about facing adversity and everything about that. I mean, it's so deep. You could not like art and not like music and still love this film. You know what I mean? So if you like art, you like music, you're really going to love this film because it's deep. This guy is just a natural. He's got such a sense. It just must have been so amazing to get to know him.
Well, yeah, I mean, so Lonnie really is a genius. I mean, I really firmly believe that. He firmly believes it too, incidentally. I mean, at one level, he's quite confident about what he does and how he makes it. And in the last, 10 years, I can understand that because he's been courted by, a lot of big museums and galleries and concert spaces. My favorite is he played the Sydney Opera House. Exactly. Anyway, so, but he doesn't have a formal education. So he literally makes up words, some of them better than the words we already have, but others are kind of head scratchers sometimes. And he has a kind of poetic mien. So he certainly is an interesting man to talk to. But he also has this incredible sense of aesthetics. How you pick that up, I have no idea. In other words, he sort of throws together, 3 or 4 bits of old iron. And there is a school that kind of, does this kind of cute folk art that has, oh, look, it's a man made out of tractor parts. Lonnie doesn't do that. His work is very dark. I mean, it's to do with with climate change. He's been working on climate change. He was when I met him in the 90s, and probably 20 years before that. And like many artists, what makes an artist is often time. The fact that people have the time to devote to something. And most of the rest of us are sort of running around like, chicken with our heads cut off, and don't have that time. And Lonnie spent a lot of his childhood just in sort of wonder, sort of staring at the stream or bugs or birds and leaves. And he's just sort of sucking this stuff all up and trying to make sense of it in some way. So he's kind of a scientist slash, artist slash whatever. But very interesting. And today, no, tomorrow he's playing the Big Ears Festival up in Knoxville. And he's playing with a soul band from not Cincinnati, from Cleveland. And he just did a couple of gigs in Germany with them. And I've heard the music. It's amazing. I mean, if you can imagine this guy, and you've heard him play, maybe he plinks around on his keyboard, which he has no idea technically how to play it, but somehow he's able to make music with this damn thing. I mean, when I met him, it was a kind of Casio that I think he'd found around the back of Wendy's or something on the street. But it seemed to work. I think it's actually in the film. You can actually, well, there certainly is an early keyboard he plays in the film. But these days he has super sophisticated, of course, gear, and but the sounds are really remarkable. And I can only imagine him with these black ladies vocalists backing him up. I mean, it's going to be stunning. It's just, so I'm really peeved that I can't go. Unfortunately, I've got something I have to do in Atlanta, and I had it all planned, and then my partner Louise got COVID, and so oh yeah, that's the other adventure in the house. She's okay, but we're sort of rumbling through it.
Well, listen, at this point, everybody who's going to be watching this is going to say, how can I help get this film to where I live? I mean, what can we do? What have you tried, and what do you want to try? Is it mostly in community theaters, churches, art museums? What have you tried, and what are you looking forward to? And then, of course, we'll want to reach out and try to figure out how to make this happen, because this is such an exceptional film.
Yeah, so so I've been my distribution plan, such as it is really based on the kind of Windows theory of, you don't, for example, you start with the window that's going to generate the most income. And you sort of work your way down through a series of steps. Because if you put the film out there and sell DVDs for $10.99, then that's what everybody buys, and you've no chance of licensing for corporations or educators, libraries, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of where I started out, and I've never really ever thought anything I made would have any theatrical future. So I'm not really paying any attention to theatrical. I just don't know anything about it personally. But having said that, the next screening is indeed in a theater in Athens, University of Georgia up the road. What a lot of people seem to be doing is paying my screening fee and then making it free for audiences, which is fabulous. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to last forever, because not everybody has the largesse necessarily to be able to do that. So what to do next? What I'd love to do is just be actually out showing this to people, particularly young people. But as I said, I've got this thing fixed in my noggin that, I shouldn't do that because they don't have any money. They can't possibly pay for this. And I really need to sort of rapidly disavow myself of this religion that I've caught hold of and returned to my my spot as a sort of populist artist. And so you're right. I think not next week, but certainly in the next 6 months or so, I'm going to look at really getting the film out there more to an audience, because I get people contacting me all the time. How can I see this? It's like, well, it's that's a good question.
What about community arts organizations? It seems like just about every community has a community arts organization. It's like, this might be a really good fit for them, or art schools.
See, I think art schools, I think every art student in America should actually see this film.
Yes.
Because not only is it frankly inspiring, but it also says, you really don't have any excuses, because a lot of kids in art school are kind of wannabe artists that as soon as some hard work shows up, or the fact that somebody says, oh yeah, you got to have that by Tuesday, they sort of kind of slide off. Because to do this work, you have to be absolutely passionate and driven, as you know, to make films. You can't do it on a kind of lightweight approach. It's sort of like you're all in, and it's a huge amount of work, making any film. But that's what I'd love to do, is to, and I'd love to tote Lonnie around with me. But unfortunately, these days he's so booked up, and that he actually had COVID last week. Just speaking of, he was hospitalized. I mean, yeah, no, it wasn't good. He wasn't here. He was in Cleveland when he copped this. And anyway, but so the answer is yes. I am trying to. It is kind of in educational distribution. Let's see, Alexander Street has it, and my understanding of Alexander Street is they're good people and they're international, which is nice. But people have told me you'll never actually see any money from any of these people. So, and I've actually had pretty good distribution deals in the past where, I mean, I've got one film that I made 25 years ago. I'm still getting checks twice a year, in the reasonable amount checks, so to speak.
Nice.
But this one is not going the same way. It's a very different project. But and we do have a pretty decent website. And my goal always was, I've got all this material, because when you work on a project for 22 years and make basically a 90-minute film, well, you have about 200 hours of other material, and really, there's no bad material. I swear, it's all because the subject or subjects, because I talked to a lot of his family members. There's bits of that are in the film, but so my goal has always been to make a series of short films and just keep sticking them on the website. And then the film itself was kind of intended as a marketing device to drive people to the website. And that may or may not happen, because now I've been seized by photography, which has taken over my brain in the last couple of years, and particularly at the moment, I'm working feverishly on some stuff, still photographs. So,
what about if Lonnie's doing the road show? Why not, wherever he goes, isn't there some place there where they can show the film too? Would that be on the back end, like,
yeah.
1, 2? I mean, it's like you see him perform and go, oh my God, who is that guy? It's like, oh, the movie's playing here this week.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I've been trying to do, which hasn't always been easy. Lonnie has no idea what his schedule is. He has absolutely zero idea.
And you don't want to be his manager.
So he has this manager who handles all that stuff. And if I say, what are you doing tomorrow? Fancy having lunch or something? He says, call Matt. Because sure enough, Matt is the only person who actually knows whether he might be free for lunch tomorrow, or whether, the New York Times is coming in to interview him, or whatever else might be going on. So So that is an excellent suggestion and something that so far I've tried with art museums, but I don't know, they're kind of lukewarm about it, or we don't know, we don't have a film program. Well, duh, do you have a
Get one.
space? I mean, exactly. It's like you feel like anyway. So, but I
It's
think
only an art that's been around. It's only the seventh art. It's only been around for 130 years. We're just getting to it.
it'll catch on soon, really. I think it's a moment. So, yeah, another pandemic that'll sort them out. That's the film distributor's dream. So it's not available for streaming because, frankly, you can only seem to make like $1.99 for screening. So I'm thinking, well, the hell with that for the time being. But I am interested in these sort of small community theaters, definitely interested in colleges and universities. So I think I'm going to do exactly what you just suggested, which is instead of pestering these art museums, is to go to local theaters, go to local universities, and see what we can do.
Excellent. Excellent, because this is a must-see film. It really, really is. It's like, and of course, you probably brought it out at the beginning of the pandemic or something.
Oh yeah.
Great timing.
It was uncanny timing. I was actually in India not quite when the panic. I was in India about a week before the pandemic whacked us, and so I was ready for film festivals and all this stuff, and of course it turned into this nightmare where the festivals, to be honest, were absolutely useless. I mean, it was pointless submitting something to a film festival because I got nothing out of it. It ended up, I had this roster, this list of stuff. When somebody said, hey, we'd like to put your film in the festival, I would say, okay, check out this list, which is, what are you going to do for me? Are you bringing me in? Are you going to have any writers, critics? Do you have are agents likely to appear in your festival? And on and on. Will I get a chance to interact with other filmmakers? Because these are the reasons I come to a festival. And if I can't see it live with an audience, and you're not going to pay me anything, and you're not even going to refund the fee that I paid to get into your prestigious event. I mean, some people, we won some awards. Some people actually did give us a screening fee, et cetera, et cetera. But by and large, the festival thing was very disappointing. And I love film festivals. I mean, they're fabulous places to hang out, but not during a pandemic.
Absolutely. So really excited about this film and hope that all the information that you're going to leave us will somehow connect us with you, because I think there's going to be energy out there. It's like, oh, can you come to Seattle? Oh, can we play this at such and such art school? Because
I hear the flapping wings of angels now. Yes, that's right.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been such a pleasure to speak with you, George. I mean, way to hang in there. I hope all these projects go really well. And, I hope that this brings in a lot more energy for your most deserving film, because Lonnie is some kind of I don't know, prophet or something, because he has so much to teach everybody. You can just observe and realize how he did so much with so little, and how he's just so insightful. And he's just a great teacher. And thank you so much for being a part of Doc Trailers today.
Well, my pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. And spending a day with Lonnie is absolutely remarkable, because whatever you thought might happen, wham, anything can happen. It's just out the window and it's off to the races. It's great. I'll leave you with my hat, which I'd like to think that we actually had some merch. We don't, but we do have. I do
Thumbs
have
up for Mother Universe.
which exactly, which and Matt, God bless him, Lonnie's manager, had these hats and some T-shirts made, not for my film, you understand, for their because that thumbs up for Mother Universe is Lonnie's catchphrase. If you call him up, he'll say, when he leaves the phone, he'll say thumbs up, or so. That's how it works. Again, many thanks to you guys, Paul and Mr. Trench in the trenches, and it's been great. See you next time.